I asked Ferry Corsten what the future of trance is, and what he said completely changes the game.
I would go trance, but not the new school trance. Just go back to the trance 20 years ago, update it, you get the sound of that.
Okay, so the future of trance is set. We're going to go back to our roots when the music was much simpler and much easier to perceive by the listeners. The melodies just had something to say. They had a story. And even when the melody parts were playing, people didn't want to just jump. They wanted to dance and they wanted to enjoy themselves. So in this video, we're gonna go and have a look on how to make a future trance bass and kick from scratch. If you want to hear the full track, just click link in the corner or in the description. Now let's open Ableton and let's start with the kick and bass. So now the idea of the future trance is basically that we want to have a kick that is not too punchy on the high end, that is not too obvious, and it's more subtle and it's more punchy on the low mids, you know, so it like makes people dance. Still has like a click, but not as prominent as we used to have it, you know, those weird kicks. We want to go a little bit more so it doesn't interrupt the flow. It just makes you dance and it's not too it's not sticking out too much. So we're talking more like 909 kicks. I picked a couple kicks here that you can hear. I really like this one. It has like, it's a very simple, nice and clicky. Let's just create a MIDI track and let's call it kick. And we can just pull this down. I like to use the one shot and no snapping. This is just how I like it. Here in the build up, that's when I'm going to start. We don't need a scale. And let's just add a kick in here on every quarter. So that's our kick now. Making this nice is what matters. So how do we actually make this kick sound good? How I like to approach this in Ableton, it just works every time. Take your audio effects and take the drum bass and just pull it on top, just like this. And you can immediately hear that it makes the kick much nicer. Firstly, let's just put the drive a little bit, you know, tougher, 25%. Maybe add a little bit more of that high end here. And maybe increase the transients. Let's go. So we have a little bit more click. Now let's compress it so it's a little bit tougher. And now let's just go, let's say 50%. You can say it's like more techno, but it's still, you know, trance kick. Okay, and we'll probably just need an equalizer a little bit later, so let's just use EQ8. That's our kick. There's nothing else to it. If you really want to like modify it, just play with these settings. You can increase the dry wet. That's really up to you. You can also experiment with drive settings. I actually like the medium much more than soft, so I'm gonna keep it on medium. Okay, now let's create a bass. By the way, guys, make sure to watch till the end. I have a small gift for you at the end of the video. Now with a bass, this is gonna be fun because we're gonna create a bass from scratch using Vital. Let's insert a Vital instance here and let's call it subbass. The bassline that we're going to be using is just one sound. Also, we want to make something that is not usual rhythm. So let's start with like, let's loop this and let's just create some nice rhythm. So how about we start with, okay, we are in C, so let's go. Maybe we could make it a little bit more bassy. How about this? And maybe over here, just continue repeating it. And I like it, but it could have like a note underneath it. So I'm just going to copy this and just put it down here onto the C. Okay, that's starting to sound like something. Okay, but now it still doesn't sound really like a bass. So let's do some little fixes here. First thing we want to do is just to turn on the filter. It's going to filter 1. Let's use the 24 dB per octave. Let's put that resonance all the way down and let's add an envelope 2 here on this. I'm gonna go maybe like as this much, and let's pull the decay down and the sustain all the way down. Now it's not fast enough, so let's go a little bit more crazy. Nice, it's starting to sound like what I'm looking for. I'm gonna get rid of that release. Let's try to lower it down. Maybe increase the drive a little. And I still think it's too long. Let's go down here a little bit more. Let's try it like this. Maybe also we can move this one. Let's try an octave higher. That's always like a good idea. Okay, that's better. Okay, now it's starting to sound like a bass that I remember. Let's put it a little bit lower here. Now we can maybe find a nicer wave here. So let's see what do we have. Let's go for basic shapes here. And let's look for this classic saw. But what we're going to do, we're going to have it move a little bit around. So it sounds a little bit more analog. That's the one thing about this future trance theory, that you want to have that analog sound. So since you have less sounds, you need a fuller sound, and analog is the way to go. Since we don't have analog synths here, we have the vital. That's where we have to improvise. Let's see if we have anything here. How about let's try 4-month scale. I like this. Now we're just going to have it move around. So let's take LFO2, let's put it over here, and we're going to go the other way around. And we want not the trigger, we just want to have a sustain envelope. Actually, sync would be great. So it just moves around, and it doesn't have to move around so fast. We can just go crazy like this. Now it's synced to the DAW, so that's why the 1 bar is just keep staying the same. So let's go 4 bars so you can see how it changes. And you can see, and maybe we can give it a little bit more chaos. So now how do we add the chaos? You can use the random, and maybe we can just play with the tempo just to make it, you know, crazy. Let's put it over here. So now it changes rapidly on like completely craziness. Beautiful. So that feels a little bit more analog. Now we want to make that bass a little bit nicer. So really good idea is to just put a multiband compression on top. We're going to take the multiband dynamics, and over here you have the multiband compression. Just place it on top. That's all you need to do. If you really want, you can squash it a little bit crazier. Come over here and just increase the output. But I don't think we need this right now. I think this is just perfect, but we can always try. Let's see what it's going to do. And let's go -6 here. Yeah, I think I'm pretty happy here. Let's see if it just compress this mid a little bit more. Maybe less is actually better. And let's not compress the low end. See, so it like still cut through. Now here I'm pretty happy. Before we get to blowing the kick and bass together, I want to tell you I have made a full-on masterclass on how to make trance in 2024, where I'm making a full future trance track from scratch and explain every little detail of the process. Trance music, as any other genre, is always evolving, and I wanted to make sure that you guys stay ahead of the game. So click on the link in the corner here or in the description and take your music production skills to a whole new level. Thanks for watching this little ad, and now let's go back to the video. Now let's put them all both to one group. I'm gonna use LFO tool. You know me, I love using LFO tool just to visualize how things look. I'm hearing, put the depth down, I'm hearing this bass. If you look at the mixer, you see that the bass is louder than the kick, and we don't want that. We need that bass to be lower. I'm gonna put this to -6 dB. And -4. That's a little bit better. Now they are surely fighting for space because they play together. So the best thing we can do right now is to sidechain this bass line. You have several options. I really suggest using LFO tool or anything else. You can use LFO tool, Kickstart, Chamberbox, or even just a normal compressor. but I'm gonna use the LFO tool because I found it the simplest. Let's put it on top of here, and let's just slide this all the way down. That's basically what we want to do here. So when you look at it now, we don't have so much fight over here. Now the sub bass could potentially have a little bit more low end, so let's just take a normal EQ over here, just place it here, and let's just start playing around with it. See, that's your low end curve. That's nice. Some mids. Yeah, I like that. Let's go less with that low end. Like, you have to be very careful. Like, this is really crazy. And now maybe we can just cut over here like a 20 hertz so the kick has more space to play around. Maybe one last thing we can do is just add a little bit of delay on top, you know, so this bass can just float around. 3/4 is great and not too shabby, not too much. That's good ping pong. It's gonna make that bass feel a little bit, you know, wider. You can always look at the filter here, you know, and just turn it on. Listen to how it sounds. Yeah, now this is nice. It makes that bass feel much, much, much fuller. One last thing, just to be sure that everything is correct, I'm gonna take utility, put it on top of here, and just put bass mono. I like to use about 150, that's just perfect. So that's our kick and bass. Let's move on to percussion so we can build this track. And that is all for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching this far. Since you are still here, I wanted to give you a small gift, a full 20% off my Future Trance Masterclass. Just head over to readyformasterclass.com and use the code FUTURETRANCE. It's available for first 50 people, so don't wait too long. And that's really it. Thanks again, and see you for the next one.